Good afternoon and welcome to RDA's Tech Talk. Today's topic will be SharePoint for Internet Sites. And RDA's Tech Talk is a series designed to be about 30 minutes technical presentation around a current technical topic. And for today's talk, we'll have about 25 minutes of presentation with a little demo and open it up for questions at the end. So before I turn it over to our presenter, I just want to cover a few things. So you will be able to send questions at any time using the GoToWebinar Q&A interface, and we will cover what we can at the end. For questions that we're not able to address today, we can post a response in our Tech Talk LinkedIn group. So if you haven't signed up for that, we'll get a link out to you at the end of the presentation. And we'll also use the group to provide access to the speaker post-conference for any questions that might come up afterwards, as well as sharing materials out to you. So we will be recording today's session, or we are recording today's session, so that you can review it again if you need to, or share with others. And lastly, at the end of the presentation, when you exit the GoToWebinar, a survey window is going to pop up with just a few questions to help us enhance your experience for next time. So please take a moment to respond if you can. And to thank you, we will pick 2 lucky survey responders to receive a $15 Papa John's gift certificate for helping us out. So let's get started. So I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, Darwin Chavez. And Darwin is a senior consultant with more than 15 years of experience in the field of IT, and he has participated in numerous custom application, business intelligence, and collaboration projects, and has extensive experience with a wide range of development tools and database products. So while working at RDA, Darwin focuses on all areas of Microsoft Business Intelligence development lifecycle using the Microsoft BI stack and its collaboration platform, SharePoint. So Darwin, thanks for joining us today, and I'll turn the presentation over to you.
All right. Thank you, Patty. Hello, everybody. So today I will be presenting the key features introduced in SharePoint 2013 that would allow us to build good and effective public websites. Throughout the presentation, I'll be referencing a live public site that RDA developed a couple of months ago. That site will help us showcase these features that we're presenting today. I had the privilege to be part of the team that developed the site. So if there are any in-depth detailed questions that you need to ask, or something else that you need to know about the site, or anything that's not covered in the presentation today, feel free to ask question at the end of the presentation or on the group that Patty referred to at the beginning. Okay, so the agenda for today, it's going to have we're going to start talking about what the problems previous versions of SharePoint had when we were trying to deploy public-facing internet sites. We'll talk about those issues and how they affected the development cycle. Then we're going to talk about the new SharePoint features that are targeting these issues and how they're solving those problems. We're going to categorize those features based on categories that every good website should focus on, like branding, content management, navigation, and search optimizations. We're also going to talk about a little bit about hosting, where to put this, where to deploy these sites, a little bit of licensing. Of course, licensing is a special topic for Microsoft, so we'll just mention a couple of new changes, but you will have to refer to your Microsoft representative for more details. We're going to finish with the conclusions of what we think these changes will deliver and what will give us as a whole, and then we'll have a couple of minutes for questions. Okay, so first of all, so what's the problem that we have with SharePoint and previous versions when building internet sites? Or what was the problem or problems? So basically, SharePoint was very unfriendly when we were building public websites. From the fact that the HTML was messy, the fact that it was very difficult to add or remove out of the box SharePoint components like the ribbon or any other controls, modify the navigation, the fact that we needed to be pretty much an ASP.NET expert in order to create web page, master pages, and page layouts. And to make things even worse, when we were going to modify search results, we needed to use XALT transformations in order to render these results properly. So this was a very high barrier for most of us developers, and made it very difficult to use SharePoint for all these public sites. Of course, there was always workarounds where people were creating custom controls, and making all sorts of changes to the master pages, and they were effective doing it. And actually, there's a lot of sites out there that are using previous versions of SharePoint. But bottom line is, it was very difficult, painful, and not a very fun project to be involved in. So the main goal of the SharePoint 2013 changes related to internet sites is to overcome all these issues. And like I said originally, we're going to focus on the main categories that the public website needs to be good at to be a very effective website. So let's start with branding. So branding is basically the look and feel of your site. It's very important that this look and feel is it's clean and it's professional, because this is the entry point for the audience that we're targeting with our public site. This is going to be the first impression that a visitor will have. It involves writing code for HTML in HTML, JavaScript, CSS. And because of the large variety of devices that we have nowadays, we need to make sure that it's either works for mobile devices, or at least it behaves in an acceptable manner. So we're going to group we're going to talk about the features in this group. So for HTML, what's the big change in SharePoint? What's the new feature that we think is the most important? It's a new tool called the Design Manager. Basically, what SharePoint 2013 brings to the table is the possibility for us to create a master page out of a simple HTML page. In other words, no need to know anything about ASP.NET. We don't need to know the intricacies of master pages, ASP.NET controls, or anything like that. So that's a big leap, because now we can hire any web designer that we think is a good one, or if we have one in-house, we can use him, and this designer will be able to use his own tool set, and will be able to apply his skill set to create this page. So when we have this page, what SharePoint allow us to do is through the Design Manager, which is a tool of the SharePoint. It allows us to import this HTML, and it'll convert or transform or create a master page for us. So we bring in an HTML file, very clean, with HTML5 compliant, with all our very nice layout, and we import it into the Design Manager, and this tool will spit out a master page that will keep in sync with our source HTML. In other words, every time there's need a change for us to a source HTML, we'll make the change to HTML, we'll deploy the file or copy the file, and SharePoint will automatically create the master page for us. The same logic applies for page layouts also. So again, we use a regular HTML page. Design Manager will let us import this page, and we'll spit out ASPX file, which is the format for Microsoft web pages, with all the formatting and all the tags required for SharePoint to work. Now, in order to, one of the issues we had originally in previous version was the ability to remove or add out of the box SharePoint components. The navigation, the ribbon, the left nav, or any other web part that was coming out of the stock, if you will, web pages. The solution that SharePoint 2013 give us is something called snippets. It's basically another tool. It's actually a web page, right? It's another tool where we can go and point and click what components we want to include in our page. Remember, because now our master page and our page layout, it's a simple HTML, there's no SharePoint specific tags or controls or anything like that. So the way it works is we create our HTML, then we go to the snippets page, and let's say we want to add the navigation. So there's several options on the top of the page. You click navigation, and it's gonna generate a snippet of HTML that you can just copy and paste in this HTML that the web designer provided for you. So that way you are mixing and matching the best of both worlds, because you have your layout coming from the web designer in pure HTML, and all you're doing is specifically adding whatever components you want to include from SharePoint. So once you have that HTML, you import it again, if you did it already, into the Design Manager tool, and it'll spit out the actual master page, if it's a master page that we're creating, or a page layout, if that's what we're creating. And finally, regarding the HTML, the transformation for search results that were very, very difficult to do because they usually involve XSLT, it's gone. There's no need. Well, there's backward compatibility, so we can still use the old ones, but the new approach is to use what's called display templates. Display templates are basically an HTML file that will be able to render and transform search results. Part of the branding also, it's coding using JavaScript. This is the language that all the front-end developers use to render and do transformations when we're using our public sites. The way SharePoint is helping the front-end developers is by providing a very, very extensive and comprehensive JavaScript object model. It's called JSON. It's basically a huge framework that allows JavaScript developers to access the backend SharePoint data store. Basically, you can access lists, you can access document libraries, the search engine, the metadata service data store, and a lot of other containers. This is not new for 2013. We had it in 2010, but the difference is it's more comprehensive, and it's also using the very latest techniques that all JavaScript developers use, like promises, and it uses namespaces. So it aligns very nicely with all the new development paradigms that JavaScript developers use nowadays. On the CSS side, not been really much changing except that we have more cleaner classes for our out-of-the-box HTML. They're very clean and they're very isolated in terms of we have search CSS classes, we have classes for publishing sites, we have different CSS files that we can easily modify or override. And finally, if we're going to target mobile devices, we have a couple options. First, we can use a new feature called device channels. Device channels is basically a way for SharePoint to intercept the device that's making request to our site, and we can specify in our SharePoint infrastructure. We can specify what master page will serve the pages for this device channel, for this device. Like, for example, we can create one for iPad, and we'll create master pages and specific pages for the layout of iPads. We can do the same for iPhones, Windows phones, whatever device we want. As an alternative, well, this, of course, creating mobile specific pages is a lot of work. It's because we basically have to have a new set of pages, a new set of CSS, a new set of JavaScript, usually a new set of images that need to be developed to target these devices. The alternative is to use what's called the responsive design. Responsive design is not SharePoint specific. It's been used in other websites for a long time. It's basically that the technique for your web page to render correctly to different devices. So you're not targeting the width of the desktop anymore. What you're doing is just creating a web page that's going to shrink or expand depending on the device that you're viewing the page on. In our project, the project I'm going to talk about in a minute, we use a very popular web framework called Bootstrap that does all the responsive design out of the box for us. So by using this very useful framework, we were able to, without writing new specific pages for the mobile devices, to create a very good experience for these devices. This is another benefit of the change in the way SharePoint is handling branding, because now it's very easy to incorporate any framework out there, like Bootstrap, or other people use Foundation, JavaScript frameworks and the like. So this is very good news for us, because we have a lot of web developers that are already familiar with all these frameworks, and they don't have to relearn anything, and they can just bring all the existing skill set and bring it to the table and make our SharePoint public site very up to date as far as using the latest frameworks. So I'm going to real quickly switch to the site that that I was referring to. Now I'll show you just a little pic of what we did. So basically, this is a SharePoint site. It uses 2013. It's for the branding. We basically use the Design Manager. Our client, they hire a web designer that was in charge of all the layout. He gave us the HTML layout, the CSS files, all the classes, and all we had to do was implement it using, in our case, with Bootstrap, which has a lot of very useful components, and that made our life very easy as developers, and our customer very happy because of the way the site looks. Okay, let me go back to my presentation. Oh, sorry. So the next area that's important for any public site is content management, right? So it doesn't matter how good looking is our site. If we don't have good content, it's fresh, it's relevant, then nobody's going to visit us looking for information. So SharePoint made 2013 version made very good improvements in terms of content management. There's a new feature now called Crosssite Publishing that basically allows us to very easily publish data or publish content from one site collection to another. That would this new approach aligns nicely with the paradigm of content editors are working in one place, but and we want to publish this content in another place, and we want to format it and we want to render it in a specific ways in the branded feature that I showed you originally. The main advantage for this is that although they're isolated, they're very integrated. So every time we make a change in the back end using the content editor tools, we can implement a workflow that will allow us to define when this content will be available for public consumption. So there's another way that SharePoint 2013 is making our lives easier in terms of content management. There's one feature called product catalogs that's basically a prepackaged cross-site publishing, meaning if you, it's actually a site template. If you create a site using this template, it'll create all the infrastructure for you, meaning all the lists, all the groups, all the metadata, all the elements that you need to implement this content management. So I'll encourage you to take a look at content management. Another improvement on this content management is the new content search web part and the refinement panel web part. When you combine these two web parts, and I'll show you in a minute, you will be able to present your data in very nice and appealing ways. You can implement filtering, you can implement custom look and feels and stuff like that. Another very big improvement is in site variations. It's basically the way SharePoint supports multi-language. It's very integrated with cross-site publishing, and I'll show you in the site that we developed how this works out, and it's very nice, it's very intuitive, and very easy to work with. Really quick note about TermStore. TermStore is the place where we store a lot of the data related to site variations and product catalogs. It's actually based on the metadata service. It's very important to get familiar with this TermStore. If we're gonna use cross-site publishing, because it's like the glue that keeps all of the parts together. So it's very important to review and talk about it. Even though it's not part of the development process, it's very crucial in being familiar with how it works. So let me show you real quickly what we did with cross-site publishing in the site that we're presenting. So first of all, one of the benefits is when we're using product catalogs with this new feature, we're able to create one page for every product. So basically, we create a template for the page, and we can reuse it. And because of the data that's coming from the same site collection, we can just define the different components that the page will have. So you can see in this case, we have the left nav, and we have a picture and some content. These are the categories. So when we click on any of these categories, it will take us to the detail, the list of all the elements. In our case, it's products, but it could be anything that you can put in a two-level hierarchy. And you will have a way to display all these items. In this case, this is the search web content web part that we customize using display templates. And here on the left, we have what's called the refinement panel. It's basically a way for us to filter the content that's displayed on this list. So it's very easy to just click on it, SharePoint will refresh it, and I will filter. All of this is part of the new Crosssite Publishing infrastructure. Our work was to brand it and customize it and make it the way the customer wanted. And finally, on this topic, let me talk about the variations. Variation basically allow us to implement different versions of the same site in different languages. We create a web page that allows the user to specify the language that they're going to use. Out of the box, SharePoint will use your browser settings, but in our case, we wanted to, because of the client requirements, a different technique using cookies. So basically, you can come to the page and specify the language that we of your browser. If you look at it real quickly, you will see that the layout is the same, just the content is different, it's in a different language. All of these values, the different values between languages is stored in TermStore. So we can click on one of these categories, whatever it is, and again, you'll have the same structure. Now it's in a different language. And if you click on one of the products, and it'll take you to a specific page for this. All of this is brought to you by variations. So it's very, very helpful and very useful when we're trying to use support multi-language sites. And I'm going to just real quickly talk about this because we're running out of time. We have a new navigation system called Manage. We still have the classic navigation. We have a new one which is called Manage that basically allows us to define the navigation items in the term store. Again, here's the term store involved in one of the new features. Basically, we can specify the whole hierarchy, and then the out-of-the-box navigation control will query this term store and display our hierarchy of navigation. And it also has a comprehensive API that we can tap into if we want to create a custom control navigation. And it also brings something very useful now. It's called friendly URLs. Basically, you don't have the actual URL of your pages anymore. You can specify a friendly URL that will be useful when targeting search engine optimizations. Speaking about search engine optimizations, there's a couple of new features that are very useful. Like I said before, friendly URLs, they'll let the engine handle your URLs more effectively. You can specify properties for publishing pages. There are surfaced as metadata tags for your search engine. And you also can specify canonical URLs, which means that you can now have out-of-the-box unique URLs for your pages. And finally, where are we hosting this site? We have several options. We have on-premises, which is basically what we're doing all along in our old data center. We have a cloud option, which is in somebody else's. It's providing infrastructure for us. In the cloud, we have the new O365 service from Microsoft. and we can also deploy our farm into Amazon, Azure, Rackstack, whatever other providers you work with or you're comfortable with. On the licensing side, the good news is there's no more license for external users. That's a big win, and it brings a lot of savings when we're creating these public sites. And also, you can carry your license to the cloud, meaning if you deploy to Azure or Amazon, you can reuse your existing licenses. Like I said at the beginning, just double check with Microsoft as to whether you can do this or not. For the conclusion of the Talk, it's basically with all these new changes that SharePoint 2013 is introducing, the main advantage is that we can now align our SharePoint public site with all the existing web development resources, tools, and best practices. So what does that mean? You can tap into web designers that are very good at designing your layout. You can tap into front-end developers that they're very good at JavaScript and using web frameworks. These developers or designers can use their existing tools and libraries. And you can also use the best practices that are widely used today, like combine and modify CSS, JS files to minimize the page layout, payload. Sorry, you can optimize images, use CDNs to make it to cache these files, etc. Finally, take some time to learn all these new features so you can use them effectively and when they make sense, and plan, and then plan some more, because SharePoint, I mean, that's pretty much the key to success in any SharePoint project. Plan what you're going to do, and it's very likely it's going to be a good site. So if you have any questions, Patty's gonna provide the link to the LinkedIn site. And
yep. Thanks, Darwin. Yes, if anybody does have any questions, you can feel free to a quick shoot in the Q&A panel, or just raise your hand and we can address any questions you might have. I know we're running just a tad over on time, so if we do, let's see, I think I saw somebody might have raised their hand. Yep. All right, if we do get any questions, we can certainly handle that through the LinkedIn group as well. So just while we're closing out, we hope everybody learned a little something to take away from today's presentation, and our next presentation is going to be Wednesday, November the 5th at noon, when we present Microsoft Azure Search. So Microsoft recently released a new Search as a Service offering on Azure Cloud Platform called Azure Search, and currently in preview, this powerful new service allows you to quickly and easily add sophisticated search capabilities to your application. So Jamie Rance from RDA will be covering that presentation. So if you haven't already signed up, please look to do so. And let me just check one more time for any questions that might have come in. And we'll just try to take one quickly. All right, just one question that we'll cover. Is there any improvements for password management for external users or best practices?
Yeah, well, basically, what SharePoint 2013 is doing, it's using claims-based authentication at its core. It's basically they're encouraging you to use claims-based authentication, and what that allows you to do is basically to you can federate your authentication. You can use different providers, and that providers themselves will provide all the infrastructure to validate these passwords. So you still have the out-of-the-box authentication challenging using claims-based authentication, but you can also use other providers, like you can use Facebook, you can use Twitter, and if you combine SharePoint with the new Azure authentication methods of services, you will be able to integrate it all in just one place. So each provider will provide the authentication method that corresponds to the provider.
Great, thanks, Darwin. And that is all the time that we have today, so we do appreciate everyone's time. And again, there is just a survey that will pop up when you exit, so we do appreciate any information you'd like to share with us. All right, thanks everybody, and have a great day.